You know how hard it is to redesign an American icon? It's every automotive designer's nightmare and dream job, because if you do it right, you're a hero to millions, and if you screw it up, your name will be reviled for decades to come. Well, guess what? Here is the 2018 Jeep Wrangler. It's the JL model. It's the fourth generation to wear the Wrangler nameplate. Now, Jeep has been dating back to 1941 with the original Willys, but it's come a long way since then. And for 2018, they've really stepped up their game. We came here to beautiful old Tucson, Arizona to drive the thing and see if the changes they've made have really improved it that much. First of all, full disclosure time. I'm a little uniquely qualified among my Cars.com colleagues to talk about this thing because I'm an owner. I have a 15 that I've owned for about 2 years, and I have a number of complaints with the thing. But the cool thing about this is that Jeep listened to a lot of these owners, registered these complaints, and made those changes for the 2018. They've made this thing much more accessible for both new owners and people who've had one for years. Things like this. The headlights are now LED optional, so the brightness issue that a lot of people had with the old model pretty much gone. The hood latches are different. They're easier to use. You can fold the windshield down a lot more easily. It's only 4 bolts instead of 28 bolts and a bunch of trim pieces inside. Now this one is a Sahara model, so that's the mid-level luxury model, and that's going to be appealing for a lot of new buyers as well because it's got things like a power retractable soft top with some rigid panels on the side that also come off. So they've listened to both of these groups of people, and the changes have been pretty extensive. This one drives a lot better than my 15 model does. They've changed a lot of the stuff under the skin. You've got a new revised suspension with different control arms and wider axles front and rear. You've got new powertrains as well. This Sahara model that I'm driving now has the 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in it. It's made it up to the 8-speed automatic transmission, which is also new for 2018. Now you can still get a 6-speed manual transmission, but that can only be had with the 3.6-liter V6, the base model engine. Both engines are perfectly powerful, both have a lot of torque, but I'm really quite pleased by this 2-liter. It's got tons of torque all around town, it's got plenty of pep. Out on the highway, you put your foot down, no problem whatsoever. Even taking 2 people along and a bunch of camera gear, there's really no problem with this 4-cylinder at all. And as a bonus, I'm looking at my mileage right now, I've got 29 miles per gallon in around town driving. That's not an official number yet, but it's going to be close. Definitely they've made a fuel economy improvement with the 4-cylinder. The updates to the interior are also really quite welcome from an owner's perspective. They've changed the orientation of the dash. It's more horizontal now instead of the vertical stack like we've seen. So it feels wider. You've got a little bit higher windshield, so the visibility is better. The only problem I have with it is that the gauge cluster, the seat is all the way down, but if you're in any way kind of tall, you're going to see some of the top of the electronic gauge cluster cut off. Maybe the temperature gauge can't quite see all of it. That's really the only problem with that. The rest of it really is quite good. You've got the retractable soft top on this model, and wind noise really isn't much of a problem. It is loud, I mean it is a canvas top, but it's not nearly as loud as a full soft top, and the usability, the ability to actually put this thing back at up to 60 miles an hour really makes it a neat option for people who've always kind of feared having a Wrangler and the complexity of a soft top. Up front, you've got pretty much the same amount of room. The doors are redesigned to be a little bit more comfortable to put your arm on it, but in back there's an inch more legroom. The ride itself is improved because you've got a longer wheelbase for both the 2-door and 4-door models. That translates into a little bit more space for passengers and a more comfortable ride. What it doesn't mean is that your turning circle is longer, because it's not. They've changed the suspension geometry so the turning circle is actually a foot shorter, despite the fact that you've got a longer wheelbase. So on-road improvements have definitely been made. Off-road improvements have also been made. This is the top Rubicon spec, and it is really the ultimate off-road vehicle. You've got larger tires, you've got a higher ride height, you've got fenders that are actually an inch or 2 taller as well, so you can put 35-inch tires under this thing without the need of an actual lift kit. You've got locking front and rear differentials, you've got a better crawl ratio than before, and with this 2-liter turbo and the 8-speed transmission, you can still do things that no other off-road SUV can do. One of the areas of biggest complaint from both Wrangler owners and prospective buyers was the operation of the top. Well, now you've got a couple of different options for the top. There's a sliding retractable power top with some removable rigid side panels that you could get as an optional extra. There's the three-piece Freedom hardtop that has 2 panels up front and a larger one in the back that you have to take off with some screws. But the biggest news, really, aside from the power top, is this, the soft top. They've made it so much easier to use, it no longer has any zippers whatsoever. Everything fits together with a kind of tongue and groove style thing. Just makes it so simple to grab and slide right off. The changes that they've made for the 2018 Wrangler are formidable, and they've really created a vehicle that's going to appeal to the traditional buyers, the owners, and people who've always thought that the Wrangler was a little too difficult to get into because maybe it wasn't quite user-friendly enough, or wasn't really good for a family, or wasn't just all that civilized. They've really made a lot of improvements, and they've made it appeal to a lot of different people. Now, you can get these early in 2018, and they come a couple of different ways. The 2-door comes as a Sport for about $27,000, or the Rubicon for just over $37,000, which is quite a jump. And the 4-door comes 3 different ways. You can get one as a Sport, which comes at about $30,000, the Sahara, which comes $37,000, and the Rubicon, which starts at just over $40,000. Now, none of that includes the $1,200 destination fee, which is a pretty hefty fee to get your Wrangler to you, but apparently it's starting its adventure before it even gets to you. You can learn more about the 2018 Jeep Wrangler at Cars.com.